HR cut my pay by $3,000, called me unprofessional, and everyone stared like I'd done something wrong. I was 26, living paycheck to paycheck, and HR just demoted me in front of my entire team. Until I saw a tiny red light blinking in the corner of his office. The meeting had been an ambush, plain and simple. I had walked into the conference room on a Tuesday morning expecting a follow-up on the quarterly audit. I had my notebook, my favorite blue pen. I was ready to work. Instead, I found Linda, the head of HR, sitting at the head of the table. And next to her was Marcus, my boss, the senior manager of operations. Marcus was leaning back in his chair, picking out a loose thread on his tailored navy suit. He didn't look at me. He was looking at the ceiling, a bored expression plastered across his face. "Sit down, Emily," Linda said. She didn't smile. I sat. My stomach did that thing where it drops into your shoes. "Is everything okay?" "We've had some disturbing reports," Linda said. She clasped her hands on the table. "Regarding your conduct towards senior management." I blinked. "My conduct?" "Yelling," Marcus said. He finally looked at me. His eyes were cold, dead. "Insubordination, making baseless accusations in a public forum." "I never yelled," I said. My voice shook a little. "I asked about the expense reports, the discrepancies in the Q3 travel budget. That was in a private email." "You came into my office," Marcus lied, smooth as silk. "You were hysterical. You threw papers. You made my staff uncomfortable." "I didn't." "Emily, stop," Linda cut in. Her voice was sharp. "We have zero tolerance for aggression here. Marcus feels threatened. The team feels threatened." Threatened? Marcus was 6'2" and played rugby on weekends. I was 5'4" on a good day and got winded walking up 2 flights of stairs. "Because of the severity of the outburst," Linda continued, looking down at a printed document, "we are taking immediate corrective action." She slid the paper across the table. "Notice of demotion." I read the words, but they didn't make sense. Role: junior data entry clerk. Salary adjustment: -20%. "This is a mistake," I whispered. "I discovered $18,000 in missing funds. That's why I'm here. Marcus is—" "One more outburst, Emily, and it won't be a demotion, Emily. It will be termination for cause." He smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator who knows the cage is locked. "Sign it," Linda said, "or pack your desk." I signed. My hand was trembling so hard the pen tore through the paper. I walked back to my desk. It felt like a funeral march. The office was an open-plan nightmare. Low cubicle walls, nowhere to hide. As I passed the break room, conversations stopped. Dead silence. I saw Sarah from accounting quickly look down at her salad. Mike from sales turned his back. They knew. Rumors move faster than light in a corporate office. By the time I reached my chair, the narrative was already set. Emily snapped. Emily is crazy. Watch out for Emily. I sat down. My computer screen was locked. I tried my password. Access denied. A notification popped up on my phone. An email from IT. Your permissions have been updated. I couldn't access the shared drive. I couldn't access the financial logs. I couldn't even access my own email archive. They had stripped me of everything. I looked at the notice of demotion in my hand. 20% pay cut. That was roughly $3,000 a year. To Marcus, $3,000 was probably a weekend golf trip. To me, it was everything. I did the math in my head. Rent, $1,200. Student loans, $450. Car payment, $280. Insurance, utilities, groceries. I was already scraping the bottom of the barrel. With this cut, I was underwater. I would have to choose between gas for my car and heat for my apartment. I felt tears prick the corners of my eyes. I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted iron. "Don't cry. Do not let them see you cry." "Hey, Em," a voice said. It was Marcus. He was standing at the edge of my cubicle holding a coffee mug that said, "World's Best Boss." The irony was violent. "Just wanted to make sure you're settled," he said loud enough for the surrounding desks to hear. "I know the data entry role is a step down, but we think it's a better fit for your emotional capacity." He emphasized the word emotional. Sarah from accounting giggled nervously. "I'm fine, Marcus," I said. I kept my eyes on my blank monitor. "Good," he said. He leaned in closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You should have kept your mouth shut about the expenses, sweetie. You play in the big leagues, you get hurt." He patted the top of my cubicle wall like he was petting a dog, then walked away. I stared at the gray fabric of my cubicle wall. I felt small. I felt stupid. I had tried to do the right thing. I saw the numbers didn't add up. Hotel charges in Las Vegas when the client was in Chicago. Client dinners that cost $800 at a steakhouse on a Saturday night. I had flagged it. I had sent the email. And now I was the villain. I looked around the office. Everyone had their heads down. They were terrified. If Marcus could do this to me, the person who actually did the work, what could he do to them? He had the power. He had HR in his pocket. He had the VP on speed dial. I had nothing. Or so I thought. I packed my things. My notebook, my blue pen. As I reached for my stapler, I froze. My eyes drifted across the room to Marcus's office. It was a glass-walled fishbowl in the corner. He was in there now, laughing on the phone, probably bragging about how he handled me. But I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at the ceiling in the corner of his office, right above the ficus plant. A small black dome. And, on that dome, a tiny rhythmic pulse of red light. Blink, blink, blink. My heart hammered against my ribs. That wasn't a standard building security camera. The building cameras were gray and boxy. I knew because I had inventoried them last year. That was a newer model, a high-definition internal monitor, and it was blinking, which meant it was recording. I forced myself to look away. I couldn't let him see me staring. I grabbed a file folder and pretended to organize some papers, but my mind was racing. 6 months ago, we had a break-in scare. A laptop went missing from the sales floor. Marcus had thrown a fit. He demanded total visibility. He ordered IT to install localized backup cameras in the executive offices and the main conference room. He made a huge deal about it. Safety first, he had said during the all-hands meeting. But Marcus was lazy. I remembered the installation day. The tech guy, a kid named Dave, had asked Marcus about the server retention policy. "Just set it to the cloud," Marcus had said, waving his hand dismissively. "I don't want to deal with hard drives." The cloud. I looked back at my computer. Access denied. I couldn't get into the financial drives. But I wasn't in finance anymore. I was in data entry. And data entry used the legacy server for archiving old client contracts. The same legacy server that hosted the backup partition for the Building Ops folder. It was a long shot. A Hail Mary. If IT had done their job correctly, they would have locked me out of everything except the specific data entry portal. But IT was understaffed and overworked. When they updated permissions, they usually just applied a template, the junior staff template. I took a breath. I typed in the path for the legacy server directly into the file explorer. /server/04 /ops /backups /. The little blue circle spun. And spun. My palms were sweating. I wiped them on my skirt. Come on. Come on. Access to that folder meant access to the raw video files from the independent security system. Not the main building security. Marcus had probably scrubbed those, or had Linda block access. But these were the safety cameras he requested himself. The circle stopped spinning. A folder icon appeared. Access granted. I almost choked. I quickly minimized the window. I looked around. Sarah was typing furiously. Mike was on a call. Marcus was still in his office, feet up on the desk. He had no idea. He thought he had stripped me of my power. He thought he had buried me under a demotion and a pay cut. But he forgot that before I was a junior data entry clerk, I was the operations coordinator. I was the one who set up the file structures. I was the one who told Dave, the IT guy, where to map the drives. I had a way in. But I couldn't do it here. It was too risky. If IT saw the traffic, they might flag it. If Marcus walked by and saw video footage on my screen, I was dead. I needed to download the files. All of them. I needed to find the footage of our meeting. The meeting where he claimed I yelled. The meeting where he claimed I was hysterical. If I could prove he lied about that, the rest of his house of cards would fall. I checked the time. 11:45 a.m. I'm going to lunch, I announced to no one in particular. I didn't go to lunch. I went to the supply closet on the 4th floor, the one nobody used because the light flickered. I sat on a stack of printer paper boxes, my laptop balanced on my knees, tethered to my phone's hotspot to avoid the company Wi-Fi logs. It was slow, agonizingly slow. I navigated to the folder marked Confirmane. I sorted by date. Yesterday, 9 a.m. The file was there, a massive 4-gigabyte video file. I hit download. Estimated time remaining, 4 hours. I stared at the screen. I didn't have 4 hours. I had maybe 45 minutes before someone noticed I was gone. I needed a better plan. That's when I remembered something else. Marcus was a creature of habit. He didn't just lie about the meeting. He lied about the expenses. That was the core of it. If I could get the video, that proved the retaliation. But I needed to prove the theft to make it stick. I needed the client dinners. I navigated to a different folder, EXEC Office 02. This was the camera I saw blinking in his office. I scrolled back to the dates of the suspicious expenses. October 14th, the night of the $800 client dinner in Chicago. Except on October 14th, Marcus had posted a photo on Facebook of his new puppy in his living room. If the camera in his office showed him leaving at 5 p.m. on October 14th and the expense report showed a dinner in Chicago at 7 p.m., he couldn't be in two places at once. I started downloading the log files instead of the full video. Text files were smaller. They contained the metadata, motion activation timestamps. Download complete. I opened the text file. 10/14, motion detected, 17/04/22, zone exit. He left at 5:04 p.m. 10/15, motion detected, 8/95/12, zone enter. He came back the next morning at 8:55 a.m. He was never in Chicago. I felt a cold, hard smile spread across my face. I had him. But then the screen flickered. Connection lost. My stomach dropped. I looked at my phone. No signal. I looked at the laptop. User account disabled. Please contact administrator. Panic is a cold shower. It wakes you up, but it makes you shiver. I sat in the dim supply closet, the flickering overhead light buzzing like an angry hornet. Account disabled. They must have seen the data spike. Or maybe Linda just decided to be thorough and kill my legacy access. It didn't matter why. It mattered that I was locked out. I had the metadata for one day. One single day proving he wasn't in Chicago. It was good, but was it enough? He could claim it was a glitch. He could claim he flew back early. He could claim he lost his key card and tailed someone else into the building, bypassing the sensors. Without the video, it was just numbers on a page. And Marcus was great at spinning numbers. I needed more. I packed up my laptop and took a deep breath. I walked out of the closet, composed myself, and headed back to my desk. When I sat down, my phone rang immediately. It was Linda. "Emily, can you come to my office? Now." This was it. They were going to fire me. I walked into HR. Linda didn't look at me. She was typing. "We noticed some unusual network activity on your account," she said, her voice flat. "Accessing archived operations folders? I was looking for an old template for the data entry work. I wanted to make sure I was using the correct formatting." "You should have asked your supervisor," she said. "IT has flagged the account. We've permanently disabled your network access. You'll need to do your data entry manually on the standalone terminal in the back." The standalone terminal. It was a computer from 2015 that wasn't connected to the internet. It was basically a typewriter with a screen. It was solitary confinement. "Understood," I said. "And Emily?" Linda looked up. Her glasses reflected the fluorescent lights. "This is your final warning. Stop digging. Focus on your job, or you won't have one." "Yes, Linda." I walked out. I spent the rest of the day in the back corner manually typing numbers into a spreadsheet on a computer that smelled like dust. It was humiliating. It was tedious. But it gave me time to think. They thought they had cut off my supply lines. No email, no network, no server access. But they made a mistake. A classic, arrogant mistake. They assumed the only evidence was digital. I finished my shift at 5:30 p.m. I packed my bag. I walked past Marcus's office. He was gone for the day. I walked out to the parking lot. It was raining. A gray, miserable drizzle. I got into my 2012 Honda Civic. The engine rattled when I turned the key. I didn't drive home. Instead, I drove to a small strip mall on the other side of town. I pulled up in front of a generic storefront with a sign that said, "Quick print and ship." I walked inside. The bell above the door jingled. "Hey, Emily, long time no see," said the guy behind the counter. It was Dave, the IT guy. The one Marcus had fired 3 months ago because he didn't fit the corporate culture. Translation, Dave refused to install illegal software on Marcus's laptop. Dave was working at his cousin's print shop now. "Hey, Dave," I said. I leaned against the counter. "You still have the admin keys for the external security vendor?" Dave laughed, a bitter, sharp sound. "Marcus didn't even ask them back. He just told me to get out." "Why?" "Because," I pulled the crumpled demotion letter out of my bag and slammed it onto the glass counter. "I'm going to burn him to the ground, and I need your help." Dave picked up the letter. He read it. He whistled low. "Junior data entry. That's rough." "He stole $12,000, Dave, and he pinned it on me. I need the video from the Nest system, the cloud credentials." Dave looked at me. Then he looked at the rain outside. "Technically," Dave said, "that's hacking." "Technically," I countered, "you set up the account under your personal email because Marcus was too lazy to verify the corporate one, remember?" Dave smiled. "I do remember that." "So it's your account." "It is my account." "So you can give me the password?" Dave grabbed a sticky note. He scribbled something down. "If anyone asks," Dave said, sliding the note to me, "I haven't seen you since July." "Seen who?" I said. I took the note. Password. "Golden Boy sucks." I actually laughed. "Really?" "Felt appropriate at the time," Dave grinned. I went home. My apartment was freezing because I hadn't turned the heat on yet. I wrapped myself in a blanket, made a pot of cheap coffee, and sat at my kitchen table. My personal laptop was open. I navigated to the security camera's web portal. Username, david.tech@gmail.com. Password, Golden Boys Sucks. Login successful. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. The interface loaded. A grid of cameras appeared. Office 1, Marcus. Conference room B, hallway north. I had eyes. Now came the hard part, the grind. I needed to build a timeline that was airtight. I couldn't just show one lie. I had to show a pattern so obvious that even Linda couldn't ignore it. I opened a fresh spreadsheet. Column A, date/time of expense. Column B, claimed location. Column C, actual location, video evidence. Column D, amount stolen. I started with the Chicago trip. I pulled up the footage from October 14th. There was Marcus in his office, 4:30 p.m. He was on the phone. I cranked the volume up. The audio was tinny but clear. "Yeah, babe, no, I'm not going to Chicago. I just told them that to get the per diem. We can use it for the deposit on the boat. Yeah, put it on the corporate card." My jaw dropped. He said it. He literally said it out loud. I screen recorded the clip, evidence_01.mp4. I moved to the next one. November 2nd, the client lunch at the Palm, $450. I checked the timestamp on the camera. November 2nd, 12:30 p.m. Marcus was in his office. He was eating a sandwich from Subway. I could see the wrapper. I zoomed in. Foot-long meatball marinara. He charged the company $450 for a $5 sandwich. I screen recorded it. Evidence_02.mp4. I worked through the night. My eyes burned, my back ached. Around 3 a.m., my cat Barnaby jumped onto the table. He walked right across my keyboard. "Barnaby, no!" He knocked over my water glass. It splashed onto the table, missing the laptop by an inch. I sat there, watching the water drip onto the floor. I was exhausted. I was hungry. I was terrified. "Even the cat is trying to sabotage me," I whispered to the empty room. I cleaned up the water, I made more coffee, I kept going. By 6 a.m., I had 19 separate instances of fraud. Total confirmed theft, $12,450. Total suspected theft, another $5,000. But I needed the kill shot. I needed the meeting. I navigated to the conference room camera. Last Tuesday, 9 a.m. I clicked play. The video showed me walking in. I was calm. I had my notebook. Marcus and Linda were already there. I watched the playback. Me. "Marcus, I just wanted to clarify these line items. I'm sure there's an explanation." Marcus, "Are you questioning my integrity?" Me. "I'm just doing my job. The auditors will ask." Marcus, "You listen to me, you little verified clerk. You don't audit me. I run this department." Me, remaining seated. "Marcus, please lower your voice." Marcus, "Don't tell me what to do. You're done. You hear me? I'll bury you." He was the one yelling. He was the one throwing his pen. He was the one pacing aggressively. I sat there, perfectly still, taking notes. The video ended with Linda saying, "Okay, let's calm down." But in the official report, Linda had written that I was the aggressor. She lied too. This wasn't just theft. This was conspiracy. I leaned back in my chair. The sun was coming up. The sky was a pale, bruised purple. I had everything. But I couldn't just email it to Linda. She would delete it. I couldn't email it to the VP. Linda screened his emails. I had to do something public, something they couldn't ignore. I checked the company calendar on my phone, which they forgot to wipe. Thursday, 10 a.m., quarterly ethics and governance board meeting. Attendees, the CEO, the VP of legal, the external auditors, and Marcus. It was a video conference call, but the boardroom would be full of local executives. And there was a section for open floor questions. I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who just found a bazooka in a knife fight. Thursday morning. I dressed for war. My best blazer. The shoes that didn't scuff. I did my hair. I walked into the office at 8:55 a.m. I went to my desk in the back corner. I sat down at the lonely offline terminal. Marcus walked by. He stopped. "Looking sharp for data entry, Emily," he sneered. "Got a hot date with a spreadsheet?" "Something like that," I said without looking up. "Make sure those files are filed by noon," he barked, "or I'm writing you up." "They'll be filed," I said. He walked away, whistling. 10 a.m. approached. The governance meeting was held in the main boardroom, the glass palace at the center of the floor. I grabbed my personal laptop. I stood up. I walked past the terrified rows of cubicles. I walked past Sarah, past Mike. I walked straight to the boardroom doors. They were glass. I could see them inside. The CEO was on the big screen. The VP of Legal was at the table. Marcus was sitting next to Linda, looking bored. I opened the door. The room went silent. "Emily?" Linda said, standing up. "This is a closed meeting. You need to leave." "Actually," I said, my voice projecting clearly, "I'm here for the open floor section regarding ethics violations." "Get out," Marcus snapped. "Call security." "I wouldn't do that," I said. I placed my laptop on the end of the conference table. I plugged in the HDMI cable before anyone could stop me. "What are you doing?" the VP of Legal asked. He was a stern man named Mr. Henderson. "I'm saving the company $12,000 and preventing a wrongful termination lawsuit." "This is fake," Marcus stammered. "Deepfakes, AI." "It's from your own security camera, Marcus, the one you installed." I looked at Linda. She was staring at the table, refusing to make eye contact. And for the record, regarding my unprofessional conduct, I played the final video. The room watched Marcus scream at me. They watched him throw the pen. They watched me sit there, calm and professional. They watched Linda do nothing. When the video ended, I closed my laptop. I looked at Mr. Henderson. I have 19 documented instances of fraud. I have the metadata logs. I have the cross-referenced receipts. And I have the recording of this meeting. I pulled a USB drive from my pocket and slid it across the polished mahogany table. It's all on there. Marcus sank into his chair. He looked like a deflated balloon. "Marcus," the CEO said from the screen. His voice was very quiet. "Pack your tangs." "But, sir." "Now." Then the CEO looked at Linda. "You too, Linda. HR is supposed to protect the company, not facilitate theft." Linda started to cry. "Emily," Mr. Henderson said. He picked up the USB drive. "Please wait in my office." The walk from the boardroom to the legal office felt different. Nobody was staring at their feet anymore. Sarah from accounting looked at me with wide eyes. She gave me a tiny, terrified nod. I sat in Mr. Henderson's office for 20 minutes. I watched through the window as security escorted Marcus out. He was holding a cardboard box. He looked small. Linda followed 5 minutes later. She was sobbing into a tissue. Mr. Henderson walked in. He didn't look stern anymore. He looked tired. "That was quite a performance, Emily," he said, sitting down. "It wasn't a performance," I said. "It was the truth." "We've reviewed the drive," he said. "It's damning. We'll be pressing charges against Marcus for embezzlement, and Linda will be terminated for cause." He steepled his fingers. "However," he said, "you access secure systems without authorization. You retained company data on personal devices." My heart skipped a beat. Were they going to fire me anyway? "Technically," he continued, "that is a fireable offense." He paused. He let it hang there. "But," he smiled, "considering you saved us a significant amount of money and exposed a liability, I think we can overlook it, under the whistleblower protection clause." I exhaled. "We are reinstating you effective immediately," he said. "Not as operations coordinator." He slid a piece of paper across the desk. "We need a new senior manager of operations, someone who actually checks the details." I looked at the paper. Role: acting senior manager. Salary adjustment, plus 15% over previous base. "It's an interim title," Henderson said. "Prove you can handle the team for 90 days, and it's yours permanently." "I can handle it. I have no doubt," he replied. "Oh, and Emily." "Yes?" "We'll be reimbursing your back pay for the demotion period and adding a bonus for the recovery of funds, $5,000. I walked out of his office. I went back to my desk, my old desk. I logged in. My access was restored. I had 47 unread emails. Most were from coworkers apologizing. I never believed it. So glad you're back. Lunch? I deleted them. I didn't need their apologies. I didn't need their lunch invitations. I needed to work. I opened the Q4 budget spreadsheet. I clicked my favorite blue pen. I looked across the room at the glass office in the corner. It was dark now, empty. The blinking red light was gone. I had won. It wasn't easy. I had lost sleep. I had lost weight. I had aged 5 years in 2 weeks. But as I looked at the direct deposit notification on my phone, my full salary plus the bonus, I felt a warmth spread through my chest. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the look on Marcus's face when he realized he couldn't bully his way out of the truth. It was about the silence in that boardroom. Justice is a heavy thing to carry. It's exhausting. It's messy. But God, does it feel good when you finally set it down. I took a sip of my coffee. Back to work, I whispered to myself. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled. A real smile.